But now, to the ABC, and big change at the top.
Well, we have some breaking news for you. The managing director of the ABC, David Anderson, has just announced that he is leaving the organisation after 5 years in the role.
David Anderson's resignation after a career that started in the post room 35 years ago is no great surprise, even though he had 4 years left on his contract. Running the ABC and defending it against attack from friend and foe is a relentless, high-pressure job that has taken its toll. And it's no surprise if he wants his life back. But Anderson is also a casualty of Kim Williams' crusade to restore the ABC to its former glory, with the new chair calling publicly for a harder approach to news and digital content, more Australian drama and arts, revitalising radio, and for the ABC to rediscover its corporate purpose, which is to offer national leadership and excellence, while telling reporters he means to get his way.
I am not frightened to ruffle feathers.
New ABC chair has plans to disrupt.
Williams made his intentions clear even before he stepped through the door. And as he threw out more barbs, it looked increasingly unlikely that the MD would see out his 5-year term. Rather, it was a question of timing, with Anderson choosing a dignified retreat last week and insisting there was no knife in his back.
I haven't come to it lightly, but I have been in discussion with Kim Williams about it. Kim, of course, has tried to talk me out of it a number of times, but look, when you know, and I've made my decision and I've advised Kim, so I'll be in the role until the new managing director starts.
That could be 6 months away. And while News Corp was stirring the pot by questioning if Williams had really asked the MD to stay, Anderson was adamant there was no tension between the two men.
We are 100% aligned on the organisation, what it needs to be, what it needs to do for the Australian people. And he's actually quite delightful to work with. We really enjoy each other's company.
My understanding is Anderson did walk and wasn't pushed. But it's not quite as simple as that. Most of what Williams is criticising happened on Anderson's watch, with Crikey's Christopher Warren calling the ABC during his time in office
a disaster, increasingly bland, uncontroversial, lightweight and in a permanent defensive crouch.
And as John Fain told ABC Melbourne, Williams looks set to reverse that.
Kim Williams is, he's a force of nature. He's a one-man cyclone.
So,
he's determined to bring about change and now he will have a chance to.
According to James Madden, the Australian's media editor, Anderson has been a safe pair of hands, but is not tough enough to force the cultural change the ABC needs, claiming
he wasn't able to adequately stamp his editor-in-chief's authority upon certain programs and certain journalists that referenced the Charter as an afterthought.
And Madden quoted one unnamed ABC insider as saying,
David was inoffensive, but ineffective.
Arguably, Kim Williams is the opposite. Effective and at times offensive. He's also highly motivated and a workaholic who's a full-time activist chair, whether he's in Canberra, Sydney or at ABC offices around the country, arriving early, leaving late, talking and listening wherever he goes. And having his hands on the ABC tiller is a lifelong ambition. Williams first went for the MD's job at 28 and tried again in 2015 when the gig went to Michelle Guthrie. And even if he says he won't take on the MD's job, and let's not forget David Hill made that switch 37 years ago, he will be the power, especially now. At the Byron Writers' Festival 2 weeks ago, Williams told Kerry O'Brien the ABC's mission was to lift its game across the board, and he put the News and Current Affairs division on notice.
I think we tend at times to go to that which is more representative of tabloid sensibility than what I would regard as being national responsibility. I think we have, on the one hand, a tendency to have too much in news and current affairs that is filler and bland.
And Williams is not shy of saying what needs to happen for the board to execute his agenda.
As part of that process, there needs to be serious organisational cultural reform. Now, I think it's a challenge to relish, because it's a challenge that matters.
We'll see if that challenge to relish is code for further management changes at the top. But Williams, of course, is not alone in his criticisms, with John Fain telling ABC Radio last week,
I think there's too much lifestyle stuff and frippery. I mean, I don't want to switch on the ABC and be told about, which coffee is the most popular in Townsville or something. I mean, quite frankly, I don't give a rat's. There's really important things going on. Can you hold power to account and tell me stuff I don't already know? That's what I want the ABC News to do.
Many staff agree, expressing enthusiasm for Kim Williams and his stiff broom, while others are concerned about the ABC losing its audience and ultimately its public funding if it focuses on providing content for the elite. But either way, we may soon find out. ABC Documentaries is already searching for more serious projects for next year's schedule. And as the AFR reported last week, Williams is determined to bring about change.
Kim Williams has never lacked the courage of his convictions. When asked recently about the lessons from being sacked as News Corp chief executive after just 2 years in the role, Mr Williams said he should have gone harder, faster and bolder.
As we said back in January when Williams got the job, buckle up. It could be an exciting ride.
If you buy a house now, I am predicting you could lose as much as 50%, give or take, in the coming years.
Are you truly saying that people's homes are going to fall by 50%, half the amount they're worth today?
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And that's the media's favourite doomsayer getting another run on 60 Minutes, with US-based commentator Harry Dent coughing up yet another unchallenged forecast of housing Armageddon, which the media has allowed because sensationalism sells.
For a young person, I mean, my advice is very simple. If you have not bought your first home yet, do not.
And for those who do have a home, if they can, Harry reckons they should sell now, at the top of the market.
If you sell now, you're going to be ahead of the crowd, and then when things go down, you're going to be able to buy at least twice the home for the same price and mortgage. That's the bonus.
60 Minutes spread that grim news to younger viewers and homeowners who don't watch TV on TikTok and Instagram, with the warning that house prices could soon plummet. And reporter Dimitri Clancy then asked Harry the $100 question.
When is this crash going to happen?
I think it's going to start in the second half of 2024 in the U.S. and spread. I think the U.S. is going to start a recession that spreads around the world because this is a global phenomenon, especially the real estate bubble. It's everywhere.
Now, Dent is not alone in saying the world is awash with asset bubbles, that the US could face a recession, and that real estate in Australia is hopelessly overpriced. But, as we'll show you, his track record on the Australian housing market is beyond ridicule. And Nine knows that because they put his shocking predictions to air many times before, with Ben Fordham taking aim at them back in 2018.
It didn't happen in 2014, it didn't happen in 2015, it didn't happen in 2016, it didn't happen in 2017. With respect, why should we believe you in 2018?
But failure hasn't dampened Nine's enthusiasm for the man who keeps crying wolf, with Dent appearing on the Today Show again in November 2022 to be asked by Richard Wilkins.
Is now a time for people to be buying property if they're looking first-home buyers?
No, you have to wait another couple of years. I'm seeing property prices are going to go down 40 to 50%.
And like a broken record, he was invited back onto the Today Show a year later to warn yet again about property and the stock market.
One outspoken US economist is predicting the biggest market crash in our lifetime. Yay. Harry, morning to you. That's quite a frightening prediction you've made. Walk us through what you expect will happen.
So, how did those predictions go? Not well. After dipping briefly in December 2022, house prices have climbed steadily.
Through 18 consecutive months of growth to hit a fresh peak in June.
That's June this year, by which time they were up by
10.14% from their December 2022 low.
With house prices in Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth all at record highs, according to CoreLogic, and Perth seeing price rises of nearly 25% in the past 12 months. So much for Harry's massive crash. And as we've heard, that's not his first bum call. Back in 2011, Dent went on Sunrise to predict a 50% fall in home prices, sound familiar, and rolled out the same line he spun to 60 Minutes last week.
If you're a young couple, do not buy a house if you're getting married for another 3 years and let the crash happen and then this greatest sale in history. I mean, who doesn't like a sale? Imagine buying stocks and real estate 50, 60, 70% lower.
If only. But any young couple who followed Dent's advice in 2011 would be well and truly screwed and locked out of the market, because house prices in the major cities have doubled since then. And a key reason why was explained by another Harry, developer Harry Triggerboff, in the same 60 Minutes episode last week.
Demand has never been so great. The supply has never been so little.
We asked economist Stephen Koukoulas what he reckoned about Dent's latest prediction of a 50% drop in Australian house prices. He told us
it would be wild in the extreme to think prices could fall even 15%.
And he added that the housing market has been
subject to a potent stress test over the past 5 years. Pandemic, rate cuts, rate hikes, now rising unemployment, and house prices have remained solid.
But there is one area where prices have come down, and that's on units in Harry's own Dent investment fund, which aims to outperform the RBA cash rate, but is tracking well below the benchmark, with a negative 3% return over the past 4 years, and minus 2.97% in the 12 months till June. We asked Harry Dent why he continues to give such hopelessly wrong predictions about the Australian property market in the media, and if he agreed it was time to retire. He told us no.
I have not and will not stop warning that this is a bubble. I will recant by the end of 2025 if there are no signs of a crash by then, and just retire perplexed. But for now, I am sticking to my guns.
Put that date in the diary. One way or another, 60 Minutes will no doubt be having him back. And finally tonight, to the United States and that big party in Chicago.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
This year's Democratic convention had the usual political fanfare and fireworks. But thanks to the organisers, some of the media coverage looked very different from days gone by.
Folks, I'm on the floor of the DNC right now, and I just have to show you this venue. It's crazy.
That is Harry Sisson, a TikTok influencer and dyed-in-the-wool Democrat who was showcasing the DNC to his 1.2 million followers last week. And he wasn't the only social media star out on the front line.
I'm with Hope Walls, the future second daughter of the U.S., and you guys have been looking for tampons? Yes, last one. Thank you.
That is Nadia Okamoto, who was also flogging the Democrats to her 4.1 million TikTok followers all week. But both were part of an army of influencers showcasing the convention, with the Democrats inviting and giving access to 200 TikTokers, Twitch streamers and the like, including many who wouldn't normally focus on politics.
Jeremy Jacobowitz primarily posts food and restaurant reviews, but he said these days he can't afford to just stick to food.
My job here is just like, be here, let people know to be excited. I love America. I love all of this, and like, it's okay to be excited about that.
Both political parties in the US have long had their own social media accounts, but the Democrats are now partnering with social media companies like Greenfly to push their message out to influencers so they can spread it to their millions of followers. And at the DNC, these influencers have been getting red carpet treatment.
Right now, we're standing in an area specifically built for influencers on the convention floor and feet from the stage.
So we're outside the Creator Lounge here at the United Center at the Democratic National Convention. This is a space specifically for content creators to come and recharge.
And it doesn't stop there, with the Democrats' backers throwing extravagant events for their new online friends, including a Hotties for Harris event, and even a yacht party featuring the wife of Vice President hopeful Tim Walz. And all this pampering seems to be working, with journalist Taylor Lorenz telling her Power User podcast.
The content is very promotional. It's very much like, silly, fun things. There's certainly not a lot of content creators that are critical of the administration, the current administration or the Harris campaign generally.
Simple, eh? And much easier than getting traditional media on your side, although they have also been pretty soft on Harris so far. And with a third of Americans now using TikTok and 50% of Americans saying they get some of their news from social media, the PR message is sure to be heard. So, are influencers and streamers the new normal in US politics? And should we be concerned at this dumbing down? Wired reporter Makina Kelly says the line between influencer and reporter is getting blurrier, telling NPR,
we do reporting, right? We are part of the process of digging up new information, whereas a lot of what news influencers do is taking headlines, screen grabs of them, and sitting in front of them green screen style and reading off the news to their followers.
And that is creating some tension between influencers and real journalists, not least at the convention, with live streamer Hassan Piker, who was at the DNC, observing,
I do feel as though maybe some of the journalists are resentful with how much the DNC has offered some space that normally would be allocated to them, to influencers.
And Brian Baez, who goes by the handle Mentally Divine, is telling journalists to suck it up.
Let me explain something to you motherfuckers. For members of the press that still don't get it, yes, y'all are being put on fucking notice. See, the reality about social media platforms and their algorithms is that with one tweet or one video, I could pull millions of views. Like here, 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 and here. You get the point. See, y'all can only dream of getting that nightly on your shows. I can get it in minutes.
But if journalists are jealous of the new kids on the block, who can blame them? Kamala Harris has yet to give a sit-down interview to anyone in the mainstream media since Joe Biden withdrew from the race. But she did make herself available to music game show Track Star for this revealing exchange.
Before we start, just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kamala Harris.
Welcome to Trackstar. If you can name the artist, you win $5.
Stevie Wonder.
Tell me about Stevie Wonder.
Well, Stevie Wonder's one of the greatest musicians who has ever lived.
Maximum reach, minimum risk, and just feel that vibe. But it's a depressing trend if you believe, as we do, that it's the media's job to keep the bastards honest. That's all from us for tonight. You can read a statement from Harry Dent on our website. Don't forget Media Bites on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. But for now, until next week, goodbye.